There's a quiet kind of death that happens long before the body fades. It doesn't come with pain or tears, at least not at first. It's softer, slower, almost invisible. It's the slow erosion of respect, not from the world, but from yourself. You don't notice it the first time you tell yourself, it's fine, when it clearly isn't. You don't see it when you stay silent in the face of something that violates your values. You just tell yourself you're being understanding. But in truth, you've just made a quiet trade. Your peace for approval, your integrity for comfort. Respect isn't something you demand. It's something you embody. It's not in the way you walk or speak. It's in the way you carry yourself when no one's watching. It's that silent aura that says, I know who I am, and I stand by it. But here's the truth most people never face. Respect doesn't disappear overnight. It dissolves, slowly, quietly. Every time you go against what you know is right for you. Think about it. When you promise yourself you'll start something important tomorrow, and then you don't. When you let someone treat you poorly and pretend it doesn't bother you. When you say yes, just to avoid the discomfort of saying no. Each moment might seem small, harmless even, but over time they carve away at the foundation of who you are, until one day you look in the mirror, and the reflection doesn't look back with strength, but with apology. You see tired eyes, a half smile that doesn't reach the soul. You start wondering when exactly you lost that quiet fire inside you. Carl Jung once wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And he was right. Because to truly accept yourself, you must first face the parts of you you've been betraying. The moments when you chose fear over truth, comfort over growth, approval over authenticity. And that's where most people lose themselves. Not because others take their respect away, but because they hand it over piece by piece, in the name of fitting in, surviving, or being liked. The privilege of a lifetime, Jung said, is to become who you truly are. But you cannot become who you truly are if you keep abandoning yourself to please a world that never notices your sacrifice. So let's talk about it. The 4 habits that silently destroy your respect. They don't shout. They whisper. They hide inside your daily routines, your quiet compromises, your unspoken fears. They are the invisible decisions that decide who you become. And by the time you realize it, they've already shaped your life. Habit 1. Over-apologizing for existing. You've seen it. The person who apologizes before they even speak. Sorry, can I just say something? Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Sorry, I just thought. Every sentence bent. Every thought diminished. It's as if they're asking for permission to take up space in their own life. You may think you're being polite. You may think you're avoiding conflict. But over time, what you're really saying is, my presence is a disturbance. And people believe what you tell them, especially when you say it without words. Respect begins where self-erasure ends. When you constantly shrink yourself to make others comfortable, you teach the world how to treat you, as optional, as replaceable, as small. There's a quiet authority in someone who doesn't rush to apologize for being. They speak with calmness. They listen deeply. And when they do say, I'm sorry, it means something. Because it's not a reflex. It's a response. Ask yourself, how many times have you apologized this week? For things that didn't even require forgiveness? Was it guilt, fear of being misunderstood, or a lifetime of believing you must earn the right to exist peacefully in your own skin? Respect isn't born from perfection. It's born from ownership. From the courage to say, this is me. I may not be perfect, but I am not sorry for being here. When you stop apologizing for your existence, you give others permission to meet the real you, not the edited version you think they'll accept. Because every unnecessary apology chips away at your dignity, and every quiet acceptance of yourself rebuilds it. Habit 2. Seeking validation instead of self-respect. You want to be seen. You want to be understood. You want someone, anyone, to look at you and say, you matter. It's a natural human hunger. But when that hunger becomes your identity, you begin to live like a mirror, reflecting everyone else, but showing nothing of your own soul. Validation feels good. It gives you a momentary sense of worth, a flicker of belonging, a small high that whispers, "You're doing fine." But when you depend on it, when your self-worth becomes the echo of other people's approval, you lose something sacred. You lose your center. And without a center, you bend, you compromise, you perform. You start asking invisible questions before every action. Will they like this? Will they think I'm enough? Will this make them stay? You don't live to express anymore, you live to impress. You stop moving from truth and start moving from fear. And the cruelest part, the more you chase validation, the less respect you command, because people can feel when you're performing for their approval. And deep down, we don't trust what isn't rooted in authenticity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own."
Think about that.
You wake up every morning inside your own mind. You hear your own thoughts, you feel your own pain, and yet you hand over your worth to strangers who will forget your name by next week. That's not humility, that's slavery. Self-respect is not about arrogance. It's not about saying, "I don't care what anyone thinks." It's about knowing whose voice matters most. It's about asking, "Does this align with my truth?" Before asking, "Will they approve of it?" When you move from self-respect, you stop needing to prove your value. Your presence proves it. And people notice. They feel it. Because confidence that isn't built on validation has a stillness to it. A quiet gravity that can't be faked. Ask yourself, how many of your choices are truly yours? And how many are shaped by an invisible audience in your mind, waiting to clap for you before you believe you deserve to stand tall? Respect begins when you stop chasing applause and start walking with purpose, even when no one's watching. Habit 3 is even more subtle. It's one that wears the mask of strength, but slowly destroys the soul beneath it. Habit 3, reacting to everything instead of mastering your emotions. There's a moment, right between what happens to you and how you choose to respond, that decides the strength of your character. Most people never find that moment. They live like a flame in the wind, flickering, fragile, blown in every direction by other people's words, moods, and mistakes. They think power is about control over others, but real power is control over yourself. When someone provokes you and you explode, you've handed them the keys to your inner world. When you let gossip pull you into chaos, you've traded peace for noise. And when you let every offense dictate your mood, you become a puppet, your strings pulled by every passing irritation. Emotional mastery doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you understand your feelings without becoming them. It means you can hold anger without letting it speak for you. It means you can face disrespect without lowering your standards. It means you can feel the urge to lash out and still choose silence, not as weakness, but as command. Because silence is power when it's born from understanding, not from fear. Most people confuse reaction for strength. They mistake volume for authority. But true respect, the kind that makes people pause when you enter a room, comes from composure, from the steady presence of someone who doesn't get swept away. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who cannot command himself will always be a servant." And that's the truth most never face. If you can't rule your emotions will rule you. They'll decide how you speak, how you love, how you fight, and how you fall. And over time, people stop respecting those who can't hold their center. Because emotional chaos creates uncertainty, and uncertainty erodes trust. So ask yourself, how often do you let your emotions choose your tone? Your silence? Your next move? Do you explode when you should pause? Do you withdraw when you should speak? Do you let other people's energy rewrite your own? Emotional maturity is not a single moment of calm. It's a lifetime practice of refusing to be dragged into every storm. It's knowing you can respond, but choosing not to, because you've already seen the cost of giving away your peace. When you stop reacting, you rise above the noise. And from that height, people see you differently. Not as someone who must be respected, but as someone who naturally commands it. Now the final habit, the most invisible and yet the most destructive of them all, is one that eats away at your respect from the inside out. It's not about what you show the world, but what you whisper to yourself when no one else can hear. Habit 4. Betraying yourself to keep the peace. There's a silence that feels peaceful, and another that feels like suffocation. The first is chosen, the second is endured. You know that silence, the one where you nod while your soul screams, where you agree just to avoid conflict, where you swallow your truth to protect a fragile peace that isn't even real. You call it maturity. You call it love. But deep down you know what it is. It's self-abandonment. Every time you stay quiet when your heart says speak. Every time you agree to something that violates your values. Every time you pretend to be fine when you're not. You trade a piece of your integrity for the illusion of harmony, and illusions don't last. People may like you for being agreeable. They may praise you for being easy, but they will never respect you for being unreal. Because respect is born from truth, not from compliance. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And that's the heart of it, isn't it? We fear that if we show the world who we truly are, what we think, what we want, what we won't tolerate, we'll lose love. We'll lose connection. We'll lose the fragile belonging that makes us feel safe. But here's the paradox. The more you betray yourself to keep others comfortable, the more disconnected you become from them and from yourself. It's a slow fade. You stop recognizing your own voice. You start questioning your instincts. You wake up one day and realize you've built a life full of people who don't actually know you. And that's the loneliest feeling in the world. You can't build real peace on the ruins of self-respect. You can't build real love on the bones of self-betrayal. True peace begins when you choose authenticity over approval, even when your voice shakes, even when people leave. Because those who truly belong in your life will never require your silence as proof of your worth. And those who do were never truly with you to begin with. So ask yourself, how many of your peaceful moments are actually moments of quiet surrender? How many times have you chosen calm on the outside while a storm raged within? Respect doesn't grow from pleasing others. It grows from standing by yourself, even when it costs you something. Because that cost, that tension, that loneliness, is the weight of becoming real. And when you finally stop betraying yourself, you stop living as a version of who others need you to be, and start living as the person you were meant to become. Respect doesn't vanish all at once. It fades quietly. In the moments you say yes when you mean no, in the apologies you didn't owe, in the reactions that took your peace, and in the silence that betrayed your truth. It fades every time you abandon yourself to be loved, and every time you trade authenticity for acceptance. But here's what most people forget. Respect can be rebuilt, not by force, not by convincing others to value you, but by remembering what you forgot about yourself. You rebuild it each time you pause before reacting, each time you choose truth over comfort, each time you speak your mind without apology, each time you decide, I will no longer negotiate my self-worth. It's not about pride, it's about presence. It's about looking at yourself, honestly, fiercely, and saying, I will no longer participate in my own disrespect. That's where strength begins, not in dominance, not in perfection, but in the quiet consistency of someone who honors their own boundaries. The world feels that energy. It moves differently around those who are grounded. People can sense when you've stopped needing permission to exist. They can feel the calm of someone who walks with self-respect, because that calm is rare. It's magnetic. It's sacred. So take a breath. Look at your life, the conversations, the relationships, the small compromises. Ask yourself honestly, where am I losing respect? And where can I begin to reclaim it? Not from others, but from myself. Because when you respect yourself deeply, you teach the world how to treat you. And from that moment on, everything begins to shift. Quietly, powerfully, permanently. If this message spoke to something inside you, if it reminded you of your own worth, of your own center, then don't let it fade. Subscribe and stay with this space. A place for reflection, strength, and truth. Because growth begins with awareness, but transformation begins with practice. And together we'll keep practicing, quietly, powerfully, one truth at a time,